What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, bringing you the latest news from here in Taipei. A group of Panamanian lawmakers is planning to visit Taiwan. But ever since China caught wind of the trip, it's been trying to keep it from happening. Cadence Caranta reports.
Panama and China are facing growing tensions as a group of lawmakers from Panama plans to visit Taiwan. Beijing is not at all happy about the trip. Its embassy in Panama told a local media outlet, La Prensa, that the visit violates the One China principle. The embassy allegedly reached out to the lawmakers to ask them to cancel their trip, saying it would violate Panama's foreign policy. Panama doesn't have formal diplomatic relations with Taiwan, instead recognizing China's government. Beijing opposes its allies having any official interactions with Taipei, which it claims as its territory. But there's been backlash against China's interference. Panama's foreign ministry says it will not accept any conditions or pressure aimed at influencing its authorities' decisions. And the U.S. ambassador to Panama says Beijing shouldn't be involved. Here in Taiwan, the foreign ministry also has some strong words.
台湾正常的国际活动与交往，中国无权智慧，更遑论以不符外交规范的霸道行径干预他国主权行为，这只会再次凸显中国独裁政权的霸权心态，更会加深国际社会的反感。外交部要呼吁各国政府应强烈谴责中国不当干预他国主权决策的作为。
Notably, though, Panama's president made it clear that his government didn't support or approve the trip. It's unclear if these tensions have affected the trip. Taiwan's foreign ministry declined to comment on whether the lawmakers are still expected to come, but if they do come, Beijing is likely to escalate its pushback. Joseph Wu and Cadence Caranta for TaiwanPlus.
Separately, China is turning up the pressure on Japan. Beijing is calling on its citizens to boycott travel there and has cut off imports of Japanese fish over Prime Minister Takaichi Sanae's comments on Taiwan. As Tokyo grapples with the fallout, Taipei is calling on citizens to lend a helping hand. Leslie Liao has more.
It's not every day you get to see what the president is eating for lunch, but on this occasion, Taiwan's leader is showing everyone that he's enjoying Japanese scallops. His meal is a message that his government stands with Tokyo.
也许现在是吃日本料理的好时候了，充分展现出台日坚固的友谊。
Lai Ching-te is joining several Taiwanese officials in voicing support for Japan in the middle of a diplomatic spat with China. It started after Japan's Prime Minister Takaichi Sanae said that a Chinese attack on Taiwan would be grounds for mobilizing the country's self-defense forces.
If China uses battleships and force is used, that poses an existential risk to Japan, no matter how you think about it.
China has not taken Takaichi's comments lightly. It has urged its citizens to boycott travel to Japan and has also cut off imports of Japanese seafood. And as Beijing tightens the screws on Tokyo, ruling party officials in Taiwan are urging the public to help Japan out.
借此机会呼吁台湾的同胞，我们这个时候能够到日本去旅游。
Taipei and Tokyo have a history of coming to each other's aid when Beijing applies pressure. In 2021, China banned imports of Taiwanese pineapples, cutting fruit farmers here off from their biggest market. But Japan stepped in, buying up Taiwanese pineapples, with late Japanese Prime Minister Abe Shinzo leading the charge. And when China banned all Japanese seafood imports in 2023 after Tokyo began releasing treated wastewater from the Fukushima nuclear power plant, Taipei continued to buy seafood from that area. But this time, it's not just Taiwan that has Japan's back. On Thursday, the U.S. State Department's deputy spokesperson posted on X, saying his country's commitment to the U.S.-Japan alliance and to Japanese defense is unwavering. He added that the U.S. firmly opposes any unilateral attempts to change the status quo, including through force or coercion. And as tensions simmer, concerns over whether the two countries can find an off-ramp are growing. But at least one analyst warns that things could get worse.
China is just starting in terms of the pressure that it's going to put on Japan. And the question is, how will other countries respond to For example, Chinese tourists not coming to Japan.
With no end to the diplomatic dispute in sight, it's now a matter of whether Japan's backers can carry it through the storm, or if China's efforts to get Tokyo to give in will succeed. Justin Wu and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan is reporting a spike in Chinese military activity near the country. The Defense Ministry says it spotted 29 Chinese military aircraft and 7 naval vessels operating near the country between Thursday and Friday morning. 17 of those aircraft came closer to Taiwan's main island. This comes as more Taiwanese officials weigh in on the growing diplomatic spat between Tokyo and Beijing. China is also building up its shadow navy, training civilian ships for use in the potential invasion of Taiwan. Our reporter Larry Isiano has more.
Satellite images and ship transponders show 12 civilian vessels leaving ports in China's north, heading south for beaches in Guangdong province. These boats include ferries with ramps that could make it easier to roll vehicles onto beaches and cargo ships that can operate in shallow water without port facilities. Once there, they practice what a beach landing in a Taiwan invasion might look like, unloading military equipment, building temporary piers, and launching amphibious assault vehicles. China's shadow fleet is growing.
My guess is that they are trying to develop a kind of large number of the small amphibious landing ships, and during the wartime they will conduct the multi-point small amphibious landing operations.
Exercises like these suggest that China is preparing for a land invasion as part of its plans for Taiwan, which it claims and has threatened to take by force. Although the ships are not naval vessels and not built for combat, they could play a vital role in ferrying material in an attack. These ships turn off their trackers to avoid detection, but satellite images show how this shadow navy is a growing threat to Taiwan's security.
They may not be in the assault echelon, but they would certainly be irreplaceable for hauling stuff. Getting onto the beach, getting the causeway pieces assembled, and getting them back off of the beach again in 3.5 hours is indicative of a lot of things. It would indicate they've done some training on this.
Taiwan's defense ministry declined to comment, saying the military will continue to closely monitor China's activities, assess its own effectiveness, and prepare through war games and live fire exercises. Since President Lai Ching-te took office last year, war games and military drills have increasingly taken a more realistic approach. Bayonet training and flashy testing have been phased out in favor of fighting off simulated beach landings. With the threat of China's shadow navy looming, Taiwan is going to have to work even harder to keep its shores safe. Andy Xue and Larry Siano for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. has arrested and charged 4 people with violating export controls on AI chips to China. 2 American and 2 Chinese citizens were busted for allegedly conspiring to sell millions of U.S. dollars worth of Nvidia GPUs to buyers in China. One of them is a senior executive at a U.S. AI cloud company. The arrests come amid tightened restrictions on exports of high-powered chips needed for artificial intelligence systems. China and the U.S. are in a race to reach AI supremacy, with Nvidia's chips currently the most powerful on the market. If convicted, the suspects face decades behind bars. As Taiwan marks World Fisheries Day, some people are looking at safety on the country's fishing boats. Despite rules and regulations, deadly accidents are not unheard of, and stricter enforcement may require complex collaboration from across the government. John Van Trieste reports.
For 5 years, Indonesian fisher Yatin Raudin has plied the waters off Taiwan. He's one of the roughly 30,000 foreign nationals that crew Taiwan's fishing fleet. Unlike some of his countrymen who've reportedly suffered abuse and forced labor, he's had it fairly good. He gets his pay on time, and he's treated okay by his captain. But on November 6th, after setting out from Badol's port on the north coast, his boat capsized.
When I was pulling in the net, the boat suddenly tilted to one side. A big wave came from behind. Water flooded into the boat, then it leaned over to the side. That happened twice.
The crew grabbed life jackets. For an hour or so, they were at the mercy of the sea until another boat rescued them. His was one of 2 boats to flip over that day. 1 captain died, and the Coast Guard says 5 people are still missing. He's not the only foreign fisher recently saved by a life jacket. Fellow Indonesian Endang Sudarno had been fishing in Taiwan for around 3 years. until a fire broke out on his ship in October.
I don't know exactly what happened. We were all sleeping when smoke started filling our sleeping area on the boat. We all ran outside, looked for a place without smoke, grabbed life-saving equipment like life jackets and floats, and the 8 of us jumped into the sea.
No one was hurt, but he's quit working for now, leaving him to live on savings until he can get back to Indonesia. They're some of the lucky ones. The Maritime and Port Authority says around 45% of marine accidents reported from 2021 to this October involved fishing boats. And the Taiwan Transportation Safety Board, which probes serious accidents at sea, says that 29 of the 34 deaths it's investigated over the last few years involved fishing boats. Some people who work with migrant fishers see lax enforcement of safety standards as one reason for the high number of accidents. One activist says there are a number of dangers. Haphazard wiring, held together with waterproof tape, navigation systems not always switched on when they should be. But one common issue is life jackets.
在欧美，他们出港工作都在海上工作，都一定要所谓的救生衣，穿着着去工作。可是，在台湾，他们会变成就是说，有救生衣，可是却没有穿。那有些会归咎于就是说，渔工他不穿。那有时候渔工会觉得我穿了不方便工作，不方便动作。但是你法规本来就要强制去约束他们。
Allison Lee is the leader of a fishers union in Yilan County, further down the coast. She can remember a string of deadly accidents, including one where a boat capsized near Japan in 2019. Life jackets were found floating on the sea, but no crew. So she pays extra attention to life jackets when inspecting ships.
我问他们说：“你们救生衣放在哪里？然后有没有在明显的地方放在明显的地方？”他们说：“哦，有，我们有充气式的救生衣。在哪里？在船舱底下，还锁在柜子里面。钥匙在哪里？还不知道在哪里。”
Still, even with the state of Taiwan's fleet, Lee believes 80% of accidents are preventable, or could be, if laws were properly enforced. The agencies in charge say they've been making improvements. The Fisheries agency told TaiwanPlus it's helping conduct random spot checks, and it's also subsidizing navigation safety systems for smaller boats that technically don't have to have them. And the Maritime Port Bureau says it's been working on stopping fires, most of which start in engine rooms. Since 2018, it's required non-flammable hulls and decks and fireproofing in engine rooms and living quarters. But some lawmakers agree with activists that stricter enforcement is needed.
所以补助一定要确实到位，让每一个需要汰换的这些设备跟这个渔船的本体都能够及时汰换，减少这个机械的故障。
He says this will take cooperation across several government agencies and departments. But for fishers like Yatin Raudin, they feel they'll have to look after themselves.
Ya harus siap-siap sendiri aja, Mbak. Maksudnya kan.
Yes, you really have to be prepared on your own. I mean, you never know when an accident might happen, so you have to be ready yourself.
The other fishers here have been mostly lucky so far. They'll look to themselves to stay that way out on the water until safety standards are up to scratch. Devin Tsai, Luffy Lee, and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan is added to its medal count at the Tokyo Deaflympics. Bowlers Lin Yaqing and Seng Yimiao each took bronze in the women's single event, the first medals for the country's bowling team at this year's games. Taiwan has now won a total of 7 medals at the 2025 Deaflympics, 3 silvers and 4 bronzes. And thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. For more of our news reports, visit the TaiwanPlus website or download our app. Finally, we leave you with an international performance collaboration led by the Australian dance group Chunky Move. The show explores a vision of machine mysticism. I'm Eric Gao. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for sharing our passion for food and Taiwan. Veggie Island explores the vibrant world of plant-based cuisine.
This is amazing.
While Taiwan on the Rocks uncovers the stories and craftsmanship behind every sip.
Have you ever tried Taiwanese beer?
Are you ready to taste even more of Taiwan?